Hey there, my name is Kevin. I'm the contractor CFO and COO, and in today's video, we're going to go over the labor burden calculator. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. First, a little bit about who I am, just so you know why you should listen to me in the first place. I'm a contractor CFO and COO. That means I help you make more money as a contractor. That's my sole focus, help you increase profitability, help you become more efficient within the business. That's more the COO side, just trying to figure out what your processes are, if there's anything we can do to help streamline everything so you don't get bogged down in the back office there. So you can stay out in the field making sales, project management, whatever it is that you like doing best. I don't want to overcomplicate everything. A lot of it is just small business tax and accounting. Unfortunately, tax is a huge expense for small businesses, so you do need to plan around that. Hopefully, that goes away soon, but for now, we're still stuck with it. In the accounting side, just making sure that we have a lot of good financial information so you can actually make better decisions with data instead of just kind of wondering and guessing and flying by the seat of your pants. I'm an enrolled agent. It means I can represent you before the IRS as far as tax matters go, just like a CPA can. Help business. I got into this helping small businesses lower taxes, so that's been my main focus for a long time. And now I'm trying to shift over into doing not just the tax planning, but how do we actually get you more profitable, more the CFO level stuff. Yeah, proactive tax planning. And for a bonus, I used to be a former insurance premium auditor, meaning I used to actually be the one showing up at contractors' businesses, looking at all the payroll reports, the financials, certificates of insurance, all that crap, and putting together a huge report for the insurance company. And I just kept seeing over and over businesses not structured correctly for taxes, and also just struggling with the administrative side of everything and minimizing the insurance expense. So I can help with that as well. So, oh, actually, that's all we have as far as that goes. I want to actually pull up the labor burden calculator here. So let's X out. Oh, let's just pull this up. All right. So this is, let me see if I can make this bigger for everybody here. I want to get into here. Let's just do normal and let's zoom in. There we go. So hopefully you can see all this a little better. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit more. But you can find this labor burden calculator. You can actually find this in my free group. The link is in the description below. It's just way easier for me to put all these free resources in one spot for everybody instead of sprinkling it out through all the different descriptions and YouTube videos and or all across different websites or whatever. Everything's free. Just sign up for that group. You'll have access to everything. There's additional courses in there if you want some additional information, but really I'm just trying to put as much out there for people to use for their own businesses without having to hire me. Because some people just want to do it on their own, or maybe it just doesn't make sense for them financially to do CFO level stuff. I want to make this available to everybody. So this is a labor burden calculator. Why is this important in the first place? It's because um, when you're doing a bid for a particular job, you got to figure out what your labor cost is going to be. And you know it's not going to be just whatever the wage rate is for those employees that are going to be on that job. You know, there's at least going to be the employer side of the tax, of the payroll tax, is about 7.5% that you're going to have to pay on top of that. And there's a lot of different rules of thumb out there. Some people will say 10%, is going to be your total labor cost. Other people say, well, it's labor burden, so there's insurance and other crap in there. Maybe it's 30%, maybe it's 40%. We're just going to walk through and hopefully you'll see why it's important for you to actually walk through this calculator for your different types of jobs that you have that are going to be on the job site, because it can be quite surprising how high the burden can be depending on what the specific trade is, what the insurance rates are, all that kind of stuff. So I just want to walk through this as far as how to use it, just so you guys are aware. These blue boxes up here, the blue is where you're going to enter in the information, right? And actually, it might even be a different color. I don't think this is updated. It's going to have slightly different colors because I actually put this in Google Sheets and changed the colors. This is just my original Excel file. So there's first off, there's a FUTA wages limit. That's federal unemployment. So just leave these boxes alone. You may have to talk to your accountant or payroll services as far as the state unemployment, what the wage base is. You don't have to know what this is. Just ask them what's the wage base, because typically they're not going to apply the unemployment rate to 100% of somebody's wages. Usually it'll only go up to, like in Arizona, just they only look at the first $8,000 you pay somebody. Um, for federal, they only look at the first $7,000 you pay. So that's why that's up here. So this, you just set it and forget it and don't worry about it. Then you can do this for either a salaried employee or an hourly. I just labeled this tab trade one. So whatever, like if you've got multiple trades going on a job site, they're going to have different insurance rates, different pay rates, all that kind of stuff. So I did this so you could have, up to three trades. There's a whole page that you can just copy if you need more, more trades to figure out what the actual labor burden is on each one. I just labeled one as supervisor, just so you remember to put the supervisor's info in there as well, because they might, if they're salaried and have different benefits, then their burden's going to be different than just an hourly guy that maybe doesn't have benefits yet, or maybe different benefits. So that's really key. You either put in their annual salary or whatever their hourly wage rate is. That's pretty simple. All right. And then there might be a lot of stuff on here that you don't use. In that case, just put zero. All right. But just these are just, and maybe you have slightly different things. Maybe you need to swap some things out. That's fine. I just wanted to, this is really just to jog your memory as far as all the different things you need to consider. So the state unemployment wage, that's something you can get from your payroll provider or your accountant if they have access to your payroll, or if they're the ones doing your payroll, just pop that in there and then you don't have to worry about it. All right, workers' comp. This is important. You're going to have to look at your insurance policy. You're going to have to find your most recent workers' comp insurance policy to figure out what the rate is for this particular trade. So if they're carpentry, this is probably going to be a lot higher. It's probably going to be in the 20s or 30s. I can't even remember off the top of my head. But it's going to be late. It's usually going to be presented as, rate per $100 of payroll. All right. So just double check that when you find your insurance policy. If it says 14, just make sure it doesn't, just make sure it is per $100 of payroll. All right, because that'll make a big difference. It should be, that's kind of the standard. So it might say 26, or it might say 14, or it might say 12. Whatever that number is, you're going to pop it in here. All right. And so you can see in this example, if somebody's payroll, if their workers' comp rate is $14 per $100 of payroll, over the course of the year, you're going to have to pay $8,700 just for their workers' comp. All right, that's a significant cost of having that employee and making sure they're insured. All right, then you have general liability insurance. This can get a little wonky because general liability can be, sometimes it's based off payroll for construction, depending on your policy. So just work with your insurance agent on this to try to figure this out. They should be able to look at it for you real quick and tell you exactly if it's based off payroll. That's usually the standard is based off payroll. Others might be based off total, like just total revenue and subcontractor costs. Like there's some different, they call them composite ways of kind of piecing stuff together. If that is the case, then you might have to just reach out to me and or work with your accountant to figure out what the actual general liability insurance rate is, kind of per person's salary in your business. But if it is based off payroll and it simply says $40 or whatever, it's usually going to be per $1,000 of payroll. All right, so it's different from the workers' comp. Again, if this is confusing, just work with your accountant or reach out to me, join the free group and reach out to me and say, hey, that's the best way to reach me is in that free group, right? But you're just going to pop that rate in here, and you can see in this case, I just pulled a number out and threw it in there. For example, it's going to be $2,500 a year just in general liability insurance based off that one person, that one employee's wages all year. All right. Then you got health insurance. You can figure out what the lump sum is, the lump sum cost is for that for the employee for the entire year. Throw that in there. Figure out, how many vacation days you're going to put in there. And so this is important. I'll show you why it's important to include all these other different details in here. Vacation days, if you, there's a certain amount of paid holidays, put those annual hours in there as well. If you do any kind of company events, you can roughly figure out or just put a number in there just to so you have something in there to kind of help you realize there is a cost associated with that employee that for other things throughout the year that adds to their labor burden. You need to make sure those costs are covered when you're bidding on a project. A lot of times you might have small tools or gas allowances or vehicle allowances or whatever. So that's just a monthly lump sum per month that you can throw in there. Sick days, hours, any company meetings that you typically have. That's hours per month. So you might have some monthly meetings or weekly meetings or whatever. Just figure out how many hours per month you're having those employees in meetings when they're not out at the job site. Training and education. This might be a little high, but I don't know. It just depends on what you've got going on. Or this might be like hours spent in the yard instead of out on the job site. Basically, just hours that they're not out on the job site, but you're still paying them and having them do various things throughout the year. Cell phone lump sum per month. Another vehicle fuel maintenance insurance type thing in there. So you can see there's kind of different. There's already two different allowance type things in there. There's a miscellaneous one. So anything else that you pay your employee, throw in here. Then you got profit sharing pension, so percentage of regular pay. So that's how much the you as the employer are matching. This isn't what the employee's putting in. It's what you as a company are putting in. This could be higher if you've got a profit sharing component that, and every year you're making like an additional contribution. You're going to have to kind of figure out what that cost is and put that in here. Additional bonus, if you usually do like a Christmas bonus or something, what is that? Put that all in here. But I want to show you why all these different items are so important to have in here because I was working with somebody helping do. I was working on actually a gross profit percentage, kind of like a quick and dirty estimating worksheet that can be really handy that I'll be doing a video on next week. And in there, it uses a labor burden percentage, and somebody else has just thrown in like they weren't using a more in-depth calculator like this. They were just using a rough rule of thumb, and they had just popped in 40% as a labor burden percentage. And so I'm going to show you why it's important not to just use a rule of thumb because you could be missing out on a lot of money and not be as profitable as you think you are. So if we scroll down here, all look again, all you have to do is pop in this blue column. That's it. All this other stuff in the yellow is those are all calculations built in, so it spits all these numbers out on the bottom. So it's saying your total labor burden. If you're paying somebody $30 an hour and they work for you all year, and they have some health benefits and vacation days, vehicle allowances, whatever. They basically you're really taking care of them. They're a good worker. Your total labor burden is going to be 39, like $40,000. All right. Their salary is 62. Their salary is $62,000. You're paying as a company another $40,000 on top of their wages. All right, that's a huge cost. So you better be building that into your bids. All right. So your annual gross wage is 62.40. So you're really paying over 100 grand for this employee that you're only paying $30 an hour for. All right. So total labor burden as a percentage of wages is not 12%. I don't know what happened to that. That is not correct. There we go. Somehow it got messed up. All right. It is 64%. All right. Your labor burden is 64%. All right. That's way higher than 40%. That's way higher than 10%. 64% is the labor burden. All right. Now here's the other thing. Here's why we put in all this other crap in here about, sick days, um, yeah, sick days, holiday pay, vacation, all that stuff is because really if they're gone on vacation, if they are on a paid holiday, taking a sick day, those aren't hours you can bill on the project, right? Because they're not on the project. Those aren't hours that you can bill for, but you're still incurring the cost. So that's really kind of adding to the labor burden. So down here, you've got cost per billable hours. You can see total billable hours if they take all their sick time, all their vacations, all their holiday pay, all of that. The most they can really work if there's no overtime is $1,800 or 1,800 hours a year. Usually you think about a week being usually you have about 2040 or 2050 hours if somebody's working every single working day, Monday through Friday in the year. So really, but all you can really bill for if they show up every single day and take all their vacation and stuff, you can really only bill 1,800 hours. Right. So their cost per billable hour here is really $55 an hour. So not $30 an hour. Their actual cost to you as a company to put them on a job site is really $55 an hour. That will cover company meetings you have or time they spend in the yard if you build that in, vacation time, all that kind of stuff. That will make sure everything is covered for that employee every time they're on the job site. All right. So pretty eye-opening. It can be higher than this, can be lower than this. It just depends on the benefits that you have in your company and what the insurance rates are. All right, so you can do this for multiple trades here. You can do it for a supervisor. You can copy, you can have as many of these tabs open as you need for your particular business. So you can have a labor burden rate for each type of work that's being done, all your different supervisors. I hope that helps because what you're really going to need out of each of these is this percentage right here. This the labor burden is a percentage of wages. That's the number that you're going to need to plug into the next worksheet I'm going to go over next week. How to it depends on your business. If you're bidding on huge projects and you've already got a whole process for estimating and everything, and maybe all you need is this labor burden calculator to dial in your labor burden percentages that you build into your other spreadsheets or software that you use for estimating. If you're a smaller contracting business doing a lot of residential or smaller commercial jobs, and it's just a matter of volume and you're just pricing jobs that only take a couple days or maybe a week, things like that, then you're going to really want to see what the gross profit percentage is, or at least take a look at the worksheet that I'm going to go over. And maybe you already have something like that and you can tweak it or optimize it for the labor burden here. But, anyways, I hope that's helpful and get back to work.